Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my series on Eastern hunter-gatherers from Sidzhelkino, from this little village in Samarskaya Oblast of central Russia. Eastern hunter-gatherers, in case you don't know, are a Mesolithic group of hunter-gatherers who inhabited Eastern Europe. They descend from European hunter-gatherers and ancient North Eurasians, which are Upper Paleolithic groups that inhabited Eurasia. Now, this is the admixture, deeper admixture components that make up this particular individual that this video is about. So this is the 8th part of my 12-part series. Make sure you watch the other 7 parts that I released prior. In case you're watching this video after I upload it today, maybe you watch it tomorrow, or maybe you watch it in a month from now, I do want you to watch all 12 videos that I'm gonna upload in this 12-part series. So this is, I think this is the 8th video, and so this sample, essentially the ancestry breakdown for this sample is around 61% ancient North Eurasian, which is a component that Europeans share with Native Americans and with peoples of South Asia and the Middle East. Then there is 1/3 Western hunter-gatherer admixture. Western hunter-gatherer component is unique to Europeans. People outside of Europe don't really have Western hunter-gatherer admixture. This is a very uniquely European component. And there is also a little bit of Caucasian hunter-gatherer admixture as well, around 7% in the case of this Eastern hunter-gatherer. Eastern hunter-gatherers from Sidzhelkino, from this village right here, all have quite a lot of Caucasian hunter-gatherer admixture. This is something that is usually not said explicitly, but I need to state it for the record. Eastern hunter-gatherers from Sidzhelkino have a little bit of Caucasian admixture, a little bit of Caucasus hunter-gatherer admixture, especially if you look at these samples if you look at all of these samples together, you will see some outlier samples that score up to 10%, especially if you look at the previous sample I analyzed yesterday, the 7th sample, it was scoring 9 point something percent CHG. So some of these Eastern hunter-gatherers have a lot of CHG admixture. Well, this sample has 7%, which is also quite a lot. But some of them have very little. Some of them have only 1 or 2%, so some of them have very little, but for the most part, they have a little bit of CHG admixture, which I think is very interesting. So this individual is male, and his mitochondrial haplogroup is U5A2B. My trait predictor does not determine mitochondrial lineage. My trait predictor does determine Y DNA, and his Y DNA is Q1. Q1 is a very exotic lineage for Europeans today. You will not commonly find Europeans with this lineage nowadays. I'm not sure where it is most common in Europe today, but it is very, very common in American natives. Most Native American lineages, most male Native American lineages are actually Q1. So it is a very common lineage for Native Americans. So I guess there is some commonality. There is some, brotherly love between brotherly descent between this individual, this Eastern hunter-gatherer from Russia, from Europe, and Native Americans. Definitely very interesting that there is some commonality there. And of course, this common descent is due to ancient North Eurasian admixture, because ancient North Eurasians are the common ancestor between Eastern hunter-gatherers and Native Americans. Alright, let's see what he looks like. We're going to start with Nashakot calculator results. We're going to see what phenotype he has. And it looks like he has hazel eye color at 37% likelihood. The second most likely eye color for him is brown eyes. And there's actually a pretty significant likelihood of blue eyes with a neighbor center as well, and green eyes too, but most likely he has hazel or brown eyes. He probably does not have dark brown eyes, and he probably does not have blue eyes. So most likely he has some sort of intermediate or darkish intermediate eye color, such as hazel or brown. But he is lighter in terms of pigmentation than most of the other samples that I've seen thus far from this region. So keep that in mind. He's quite a lot lighter than most of the other eastern hunter-gatherer samples from this region. When it comes to his hair color, he is predicted to have black hair, although he scores 36% likelihood for dark brown hair and actually 10.9 for light brown and even 3.5 for dark blonde. So he's even scoring some uh, not negligible percentages for dark blonde hair. So there is some likelihood of blondish hair for him as well. Keep that in mind. So once again, even for pigmentation of hair, he is scoring a little bit lighter than other eastern hunter-gatherers from this region. So he's quite light for his ethnicity. But still, most likely he has dark hair color, and most likely he has hazel or brown eyes. And for skin color, it looks like he's scoring white or olive skin tone, most likely olive or white skin. And for hair texture, he's scoring most likely wavy or curly hair. It looks like for hair texture, it wasn't determined very well. Not a very high quality file. And for nose shape, he most likely has a Greek shaped nose. Definitely very interesting. So based on the description here, I would say he fits the criteria of a Western European phenotype most closely. Kind of a olive or white skin, hazel eyes, dark brown or black hair, and rather Greek shaped nose. That sounds like a Western European, like a French person. Let's see what his genotypes are. So he does not have blue haplotype 2, but he does somehow have heterozygous genotype in blue haplotype 3, which is very big, very revealing. It is very interesting that he has heterozygous genotype here without having any light color variants in BEH2. I don't quite understand how that could happen. Well, of course, that could happen with the dislinkage event. So that's obviously how that transpired. In terms of the implications, in terms of the coloring, BH2 has a much bigger impact on color than this variation, than BH3, but still, this variation plays a very big role as well. So because of this genotype here, this is actually a very big impact. Because of this genotype here, he's scoring so high for hazel eyes, for example, and even blue eyes with a neighbor center. Without this light color variant, he would be scoring brown eyes 100, like not 100%, but he would be scoring much higher for brown eyes without this light color variant here. He has two light color variants in this variation of SLC45A2 and only one here. So he's not very similar to modern Europeans in terms of pigmentation variants. He's still quite dark, quite a lot darker than most modern Europeans in terms of pigmentation variants. And he does not have any light color variants in MC1R. Unfortunately, a lot of the relevant stuff is missing. You see these 999s, a lot of this stuff that you need to determine the phenotype is missing, which is a big bummer. But let's see the phenotype oracle. Let's look at that. So it looks like the phenotype oracle is showing these phenotypes as the closest phenotypes for this individual. So the closest phenotype is this. Looks, I guess, yeah, I mean, it looks right. It looks French or English. The second phenotype looks also French. The third phenotype with the curly hair looks more, I would say, more Jewish. But it fits the description of the person with the olive or white skin between olive and white, hazel or brown eyes, and darker hair color. It definitely fits the description. But if you look at the mixed mode for the populations, okay, that's very interesting. So in the mixed mode, we see these very exotic phenotypes. We see Amerindian in the mixed mode, and that's very interesting. We see, for example, white Norid plus Native American. We see this plus Native American, or I think this is called. This is called Tibetan, I think. I remember somebody in the comments was correcting me when I previously classified this as Native American, and I said it's Tibetan. So it's Norid plus Tibetan. This is Armenoid plus Uralic. This is North Pointed plus Tibetan once again, and this is once again North Pointed plus Armenoid. Amerindian. So it looks like this individual has some kind of East Eurasian like admixture in terms of the phenotype. It looks like the phenotype oracle is picking up some. I don't want to say this oid word. You know, this racist. There's this racist word that I want to say because it's YouTube. Mongoloid. But this person has some East Eurasian facial traits, basically, and I wonder if they have the East Eurasian EDAR variants. Let's look that up actually right now. Let's look up EDAR and see what we have here. So it looks like they have two European EDAR alleles in this variation of EDAR. All right, but then they have this genotype right here, which means likely some East Asian facial traits. So because of this genotype, I feel like because of this genotype right here, yeah, because of this genotype, they are scoring these East Eurasian um, results in the phenotype oracle. That makes sense. Yep, that makes sense. So because they score some East Asian stuff in EDAR, and that affects the phenotype oracle. Because of that, they score Amerindian and Tibetan for the phenotype oracle, and they have this genotype which leads to lower odds of missing teeth. Pretty cool. All right, now let's go ahead and look at the biomarkers results. So for the biomarkers results, let's see. Nothing was found for vitamin D levels. They have higher levels of LDL cholesterol, which is unfortunate. Lower levels of HDL cholesterol, which is pretty bad as well. Lower levels of glucose, which is good. Typical levels of hemoglobin. Lower levels of blood pressure, which is good. Higher levels of iron in the blood, so it looks like they might have some hemochromatosis variants. Let's look that up actually. Let's look up hemochromatosis. Nope, nothing here. Nothing in the HFE gene. So there's other variations that contribute to the score that are not in the HFE gene. Keep that in mind. So it looks like there's some other stuff that contributed to the score. Looks like they have a slightly above average score for sex hormone binding globulin. Looks like they have below average score for red blood cell count in blood. Looks like they have below average score for base pairs for telomere length. So they definitely have a predisposition to shorter lifespan and shorter telomere length. Definitely very unfortunate. And average height. Very cool. Let's close that and let's see the polygenic risk scores. I'm going to ignore everything that's average. So, okay, wow, that's crazy. So they have above average odds for kidney stones, very high odds for hemoglobin E disease. That's kind of crazy. This might be the highest score I've seen thus far. So they have a very, very, very high score for this condition. Okay, we might want to keep that in the back of our mind as we go through this result. Very, very high score for hemoglobin E disease. They have low score for gout. They have kind of high score for eczema. They have, let's see, kind of low score for AMD, age-related macular degeneration. They have low score for male pattern hair loss, which is really good. So this person is not predisposed to being bald, to going bald. They have below average score for atrial fibrillation. They have low score for bipolar type 1 and schizophrenia, and average for depression. They have pretty much low score for type 2 and type 1 diabetes, low score for Alzheimer's and multiple sclerosis. What else? Only one risk variant for breast cancer, which is pretty good, really good to see. 6 risk variants for testicular cancer at 12, which is pretty good as well, and 2 risk variants in keto G. But we remember that testicular cancer is very much a modern concern. Probably was not that big of a deal in the Mesolithic period. Celiac disease, no risk variants for that, really good. GSS, no risk variants for that, really good. Do we see any uncommon risk variants here? Nope, not really. For allergies, let's see how many. 5 out of 10. That's kind of high, but yeah, that's kind of high. Okay. Okay, but not that big of a deal because also this is not a very high quality file, so we can't really judge from 5 out of 10. We can't really say it's not a big statistic yet. So the only thing in this result that's even a little bit concerning actually is very concerning is the score for hemoglobin E disease. So this person is definitely very predisposed to hemoglobin E disease. Let's look that up actually, because I forgot what that even is. So Google wasn't giving me any good responses, any good information about hemoglobin E disease, so I decided to ask AI for some help. I decided to ask Gemini AI for some clarification about hemoglobin E disease. So here it is. The issue with hemoglobin E. In hemoglobin E disease, a genetic mutation causes the production of abnormal hemoglobin E molecules. These hemoglobin E molecules have a slightly altered structure compared to normal hemoglobin A. This altered structure can affect their ability to bind to oxygen efficiently or maintain their shape within red blood cells. The severity of hemoglobin E disease can vary depending on the number of abnormal genes inherited. Inheriting one copy of the abnormal gene from one parent usually causes no symptoms. This is not the case with this individual. If you remember from watching the video, from watching the sample, this individual is cooked. He does not have just one copy. He has two copies. He has homozygous risk variants in two variations. So for this individual, he's quite cooked. In his case, it would be homozygous, and he's homozygous for two variations actually. So his case would be either hemoglobin E disease or hemoglobin E beta thalassemia. His case is one of these two. And I'm not sure which one it is. And these are both quite severe. So inheriting, let's go back and review these options, which because one of them is more severe than the other one. Hemoglobin E disease is the less severe option. So hemoglobin E disease option is inheriting two copies of the abnormal gene, one from each parent, can lead to mild to moderate anemia, which would be something that you can probably live with and probably even succeed in life with, even without any treatment, I'm sure. And then there is the hemoglobin E beta thalassemia, which is something that would probably be fatal without treatment. This is a more severe form that occurs when somebody inherits one copy of the hemoglobin E gene and another abnormal hemoglobin E gene like beta thalassemia. This can cause significant anemia and require regular blood transfusions. This is something that is also a possibility for this sample. Right, so it is very unfortunate that this sample from the Mesolithic has to struggle with one of these two conditions. But it is what it is. It's very, very unfortunate and very rare condition. Now, in terms of the symptoms of anemia, let's go ahead and go over them. Let's see what kind of symptoms this individual might be struggling with in the Mesolithic. People with mild hemoglobin E disease may not experience any symptoms, which does not apply to this individual. This individual definitely did experience symptoms with the kind of genotype he had. He definitely did experience symptoms. Symptoms of anemia would be such as fatigue, weakness, pale skin, shortness of breath, jaundice, or spleen enlargement. Interesting. Okay. And by the way, I am completely disregarding such cases as miscalls or genotyping errors, because I have never seen miscalls or genotyping errors in this region before. Typically, when you see miscalls or genotyping errors, they occur in the same places over and over again with multiple different files. I've never seen miscalls or genotyping errors in these locations before. So I don't. This is not a genotyping error or a miscall. And also, you wouldn't have genotyping errors or miscalls where you get a homozygous call in the end. It doesn't work this way. So, yeah, and the treatment, this applies to treatment in the modern age. You'd get iron supplements, folic acid supplements, and blood transfusions. Obviously, none of those treatments would be available to this individual in the Mesolithic. Very, very unfortunate. So, this unfortunately is something that this dude had to live with and deal with in the Mesolithic. Very, very sad. I completely hate having to record this part of the video again, because I recorded this previously and I had a problem with my clip champ or whatever. So this person is a warrior. He's got higher number of D2 receptor sites. He's got lower levels of 5-HT and serotonin, which means predisposition to depression, anxiety, higher odds of autism. Let's just get through this real quick. higher level of empathy. Predisposition to lower odds of cardiovascular issues. He's got, let's see what else, no micropenis. He's got lower odds of autoimmune conditions. He's got elevated homocysteine levels. Ooh, that's really bad. And doesn't have any variants for adrenoleukodystrophy. And predisposition to lower odds of obesity, really good. He's got two hunter-gatherer variants for CLTCL1, really good to see. So he's a hunter-gatherer and he's got two hunter-gatherer variants in CLTCL1, reduced ability to process carbs and sugars. And for blood group, he's got predicted blood type, type O or type A. It's not a very high-quality file. There's only 3 variants that were found for blood type. Very unfortunate, but from these 3 variants, we can determine that his blood type is most likely type O or type A, which is already plenty of information for us. Well, thanks for watching my video until the very end. Make sure you check out the description. The description always has a lot of very important and relevant information about where you can get the raw DNA file for this sample. It is on my Google Drive. You can check out my Google Drive where I store all the DNA files that I analyze on my YouTube channel. You can also find the link to download the link to buy my trait predictor executable, and also the link to get a trait report for only $4 for yourself using my trait predictor. So make sure you check out the description of the video. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Goodbye.